Here's the presentation on Star House. So before I get started, I just want to say that Star House is a drop-in center for youth experiencing homelessness, ages 14 to 24. Everyone always thinks that we're a shelter or assumes that we're a shelter. It's the one thing that we don't do, but I don't want to jump ahead of myself, so I'll just leave you on that cliffhanger for now. But first, I want to talk about what is home. Everyone just take a moment to think about what it's like to be home. Maybe imagine yourself at home right now. Maybe you're watching TV, maybe you're warm in a blanket. Home is a place where you can be yourself. Home is a place that you can be safe and where you can be around people who love and care about you. And this is unfortunately just not the everyday for the folks that we serve. Our folks don't have a place that they can call home. All of our folks on a stipulation to access Star House is that you have to be experiencing homelessness. We don't ask for verifications because it's almost impossible to verify that you're experiencing homelessness. And we do go off of the broadest definition of homelessness, though there are many different definitions, whether it's on a federal, state, or even local level. Looking at Star House's definition, I'll go a little bit in detail of that later, but it is estimated that there are over 2,000 youth experiencing homelessness on a given night. I broke my little clicker, so I'm just going to take it from here. So there is estimated to be over 2,000 youth experiencing homelessness on a given night. We anticipate that to be much larger because last year our numbers was 997 total youth served. So that says that we're serving almost half of the entire population, which we're good, but we're not that good, right? Nonprofits are usually lucky to hit closer to a quarter of the total population eligible for their services. But we are serving last year a total of 997 total youth. If there's one takeaway that you guys get from my presentation today, I hope it's that we serve a very diverse population. And yes, this does include youth from New Albany. Thank you for taking it away from me. Yeah, go ahead and go to the next slide. Yeah, so these are some different examples of definitions of homelessness. If you're couch surfing, Star House does count that as homelessness. The federal definition does not, which is very problematic for youth specifically, because youth are not usually staying in shelter, because many of the folks that we serve don't trust adults. Why? Because the adult in their life that was supposed to protect them from the trauma they endured didn't. Because even though we serve a very diverse population, it is not one kind of person who experiences homelessness. Something all of our folks have in common, aside from their age range, is that they are right here and right now going through trauma, because it is very, very traumatic to be homeless. It's very dehumanizing to be homeless. You can go weeks without anyone looking at you, much less speaking to you, if you're living on the street. And usually, that stranger who's charming enough to stop and have a conversation with our young people are very toxic relationships. Our youth are primary targets for human trafficking, oftentimes, or even drug trafficking. So often the person that is stopping to give them the time of day is someone that they should not be talking to. And that's why it's so important to have a place like Star House. So we do serve couch surfers. We serve folks who are sleeping outside in their own makeshift shelter, because again, our folks don't want to go in shelter. We also serve folks that are staying in bandos. That's a little slang term for you. It means abandoned homes. Or they're staying in empty parking garages, oftentimes. Or sleeping outside on park benches, or even wherever they can find shelter. So these are a few numbers for you. Again, we're serving a very diverse population. About 48% of the folks we serve have history of foster care. 41% have attempted suicide at one point in their life. 33% have experienced intimate partner violence, and about 23% of the youth we serve are identified within the LGBTQ community. A couple of national statistics for you. In the entire youth population of experiencing homelessness, 40% of those youth are identified as LGBTQ or Q. Another statistic for you is over 50% of youth who identify as transgender are homeless. So again, a lot of our folks are may even be experiencing homelessness due to not being accepted for who they are. Thank you. So trust, it's all about building trust. Trust is everything when it comes to serving this population. Again, our folks aren't used to having trusting relationship with adults. Also, our youth are used to usually getting their needs met in very negative behaviors, maybe acting out, throwing tantrums. If their trauma happened in infancy, how do babies get their needs met? So it's our job as healthy adults to show youth how to get their needs met through healthy behaviors, even if that's just sitting quietly and behaving yourself. We're always trying to give positive reinforcement and reinforce just how precious the lives are of the young people that we serve. And I always have to remind my most well-intended volunteers, trust means boundaries. Boundaries are not mean, boundaries are healthy, safe, and consistent. 3 things our youth do not get on a day-to-day basis. And again, the adults in their lives are usually have exploited them, abused them, or even neglected them, to the point where if our folks have never had a healthy relationship in their life, they might come across a human trafficker and say to themselves, well, this is what it means for someone to express that they love me. This is what it means when someone appreciates me or cares about me. A complete toxic understanding of what relationships are supposed to be, and it can have a complete devastating global impact if we don't intervene at the right time. So that's where Star House comes in. We're building trust. We're also meeting people's basic needs. Again, we're not shelter. We don't have beds or cots. We did used to be 24/7. The goal is to go back to 24/7, but even then, we don't shelter. If you ever have the pleasure of coming and visiting us on your tour, you may notice that someone might be asleep in a chair. As long as they're in a sitting position, we do allow that because we are a place of respite. If you're sleeping outside, if you're sleeping on someone's couch or even in shelter, it's usually not the best night's sleep that you're gonna get. So we understand that our folks are often very tired, but as long as they're sitting, that's technically not sheltering and does not prohibit us from having an open kitchen and other amenities to meet our folks' needs. So how do we help? So first and foremost, we meet basic needs. Before we can talk about jobs, before we can talk about housing, we gotta get you fed first, right? We gotta make sure you feel safe. So we have food, we have clothing, we have restrooms with showers and toilets. We have a little library in our quiet room and a quiet space where folks can go if they want to get away from the hustle and bustle of the main area. We have an open kitchen where youth can prepare their own meals. So the other half of what we do, so first it's basic needs, right? The other half of what we do is we get youth connected to the community resources for which they're already eligible. Sure, we could have reinvented the wheel. We could have hired our own medical professional or financial advisor or educator, but instead our job, we realize, is to get youth connected to these other organizations who've been doing it way longer and way better than we ever could. So for example, we work with a plethora of partners. We have medical providers like Mount Carmel Health and Nationwide Children's that alternate Wednesdays in their mobile unit to provide just basic health care. We also work with Equitas Health, Columbus Public Health, and Mosaic to do free HIV/STI testing multiple times a week. We work with multiple workforce development partners like Columbus Urban League and Impact Community Action and some staffing agencies. We also work with legal representatives from Capital Law School or even Mindy Yoakum, a private practitioner that dedicates every other Thursday to meet with our folks that may have evictions or maybe past incarcerations or felonies that are preventing folks from getting into a job or housing. The way we do all of that is through therapy. We have 2 licensed social workers who act as the linkage to youth to get connected, whether that's to our on-site providers or to providers that are off-site. And our therapists are not in the business of fitting people in cookie-cutter images of where we think they need to go. Our youth are sick and tired of adults telling them what to do. So when we do it on youth's terms, when we say, hey, what happened to you? Where do you want to go, and how do we at Star House help you get there? That's how the help actually sticks, and youth are actually really excited about moving forward then. Thank you. So this is our impact, just a glimpse of some of our numbers. Last year we served 996 total youth with over 40,000 visits. So that 996 is unique individuals that were served. Our daily averages are anywhere from 30 to 100 youth a day that we see. And these are some of the successes to happen last year. Obviously, 100% of our folks got drop-in services, but we also were able to link youth with crucial resources, help people obtain employment, get their IDs, which is enormous. Most of our folks are obviously eligible for Medicaid due to their situation. However, you need your ID and your social to get on Medicaid, and if you don't have both, you get stuck in a catch-22 because you need your social for your ID and you need your ID for your social. So that's usually when we got to make the call to our senators who like making those, phone calls to get stuff rolling for our folks. And that's Star House. Doesn't really look like our building, to be honest. We don't have that sign up there, and those stars were kind of, I think someone got a little carried away with the Photoshop. But these are just some different amenities and give it a little flair, right? But these are just different photos of our amenities. Like I said, we have free laundry services. We have washers and dryers. We have an art space, which is my favorite space in the entire building, because I always tell folks the people that we serve are the most inspiring people you will ever meet in your life, because they're going through things that are way past an adult's maturity level, much less a young person, and they're doing so very gracefully. And when you go in our art room and you see the paintings, or if you're going in and someone's playing piano or guitar, you really get to see the brilliance of all of the folks that we serve. And I hope you guys will one day come on by and check us out. We would love to have you. We need healthy adults like yourselves to be the positive lights in our young people's lives. So thank you so much, CBKTF, right? Did I get that acronym right? Thank you guys so much for having us. We're really excited to be partnering together. Thank you.